What is up, full-time family? We are live for full-time MMA in the evening. And yes, we are a little bit early today. But hey, man, it's better than never. I mean, we could have not been recording today. I had a crazy situation going. Almost ended up in jail on some complete bullshit and unwinnable situation. Whew. I kind of want to explain it, but it's some bullshit. So we're not even going to get into it. But it's an unwinnable situation, and fucking, it is what it is. Tomorrow's the birthday of the channel. Today has not been going the greatest, but man, it is what it is, man. I almost had a family member like lie on me today and put me in jail. Completely fucking crazy, bro. And I don't even know what to do, man. I just get, you know what I'm saying? I don't even know what to do at this point. So get to our favorite distraction, MMA. We got Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series tonight coming up. Antonia Shevchenko still in the show, that's for sure. I mean, I don't really recognize anybody else on this card. You know what I'm saying? There's some big names this season in Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. But as far as this episode, the name that stands out is Antonia Shevchenko. I know a lot of people have been waiting on her MMA debut. She's Valentina Shevchenko's sister. I believe she's also been fighting Muay Thai. Heard a lot about her as Valentina Shevchenko's sister. And anybody that's Valentina Shevchenko's sister that trains with Valentina Shevchenko, or you would imagine, is just a complete badass, as Valentina Shevchenko is arguably the pound-for-pound best female fighter on the planet. I mean, to me, it's between her and Chris Cyborg if you're talking about pound per pound. Now, Cyborg we haven't really seen go up weight, but that's because it's not really possible. But either way, Valentina Shevchenko is somebody that was successful at 135 pounds, beat former champion Holly Holm, fought two close fights with the current champion and queen of bantamweight right now, Amanda Nunes, and now she's down at 125, and she's en route to a title shot, and that's really her home. So Valentina Shevchenko is one of the women GOATs as far as MMA is concerned, and this is her sister making her MMA debut at Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. So I definitely got to watch that later on as well. So that's also why this one might be a little shorter, because we're going to cover the news, and I got to make sure I'm off in time to watch that and be able to report on that and stuff as well. So can't wait for that fight tonight. But the thing about that is on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, right? Usually, and now this is a lot of the time, the contract goes to somebody that gets like the knockout, first round knockout. Greg Hardy, 58 seconds. Another guy on that same episode got a knockout in like 8 seconds. So, really, you have to have a spectacular performance, or even if it's not a knockout, just a really great performance to win the contract that night. And so, this being a WMMA fight, it's just known for less finishes. So I wonder if she just gets like a decision if she makes it to the UFC, right? Because maybe someone on one of these fights before, like Austin Tweedy in the co-main event, maybe he does something spectacular, and so does one of the other guys. And Dana White's probably not going to give out 3 contracts, I wouldn't imagine, in one episode. But at the same time, Antonia Shevchenko, I know, is somebody that I'm sure the UFC would love to have on their roster. But the way that the Tuesday Night Contender Series works, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But her nickname is La Pantera. That's interesting. I just seen that. El Pantera is actually Yair Rodriguez. So El Pantera, Yair Rodriguez. Yeah, Jimmy Rivera's El Terra. So I'm looking forward to that. That's coming up tonight. But we're going to get into the news. Just chilling, man. Can't wait for that DC card, bro. I'm telling you, man. That's after tonight, after this Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. It's next. We got the Ultimate Fighter the day before it. So there's technically one UFC event before it, but it's the day before. So it's the same weekend. So, but as far as after this Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, that's literally what's next. DC versus Stipe. Maybe, I think it's 2 weeks after tonight. Like, not this Saturday, but the Saturday after that. But either way, man, yeah, I'm pumped as well. It's going to be a great fight. But yeah, let's jump into the news, man. DC. Well, that's not the part I wanted to cover. I wonder if I still have it up. Daniel Cormier's fed up, man. I want to bring that up. Daniel Cormier, he's had enough, man. He's done. He's done taking the high road. He's done with all of that shit. And me personally, as a fan, that's kind of rooting for Daniel Cormier. And especially after John Jones failed that second drug test, I'm personally glad DC's taking it here. And John Jones even brought up like his wife, and it wasn't super disrespectful, but at the same time, like, why would you even bring the wife into it? Like, you're trying to get a response from DC. Well, guess what, motherfucker? DC's got one for that ass. Daniel Cormier said, or this is how it all started, though, if you remember. John Jones said, I don't have a platform, DC. That just sounds dumb. Even after years of suspension, I have just as much, if not more, of a platform than you. Every win you get goes on my resume. You know who you dream about at night, and I'm sure your wife knows too. So, that's where he kind of brought his wife into it, and DC did not take too kind to that, man. He said, John, you are a bitch. You're one now and always been one. Sit back and watch me be great, you steroid cheat. Let's not talk about wives, man. Come on. I'm sure with all the shit you've done, I could get a conversation from your wife. I mean, from your girlfriend, baby mama. John Jones is I don't know the number of kids, but that's why I don't want to just put it out there. But I mean, it's up there. I believe it's over 5 kids John Jones has. So, DC, he's never brought that up in the past. He's never called John Jones a steroid cheat, really. He doesn't really get too personal with John Jones. He talks shit like, I'm going to whoop your ass. He'll say something like, John Jones is a bitch. But he doesn't really delve into his personal situation in his life. Even whenever you beat me and failed your drug test, I've never called you a steroid cheat. I've never gave myself that excuse. I've never said, hey, man, I would have beat him if he didn't have the steroids. I've never said that. But here you go, man. I'm about to fight for a heavyweight title, and here you go running off your mouth, and you brought my wife into it, man. I'm sick of this shit, man. I'm fed up. I'm done taking the high road and being the nice guy. That's what happened to me earlier when I almost went to jail, man. I just got fed up with some shit. I'm like, man, I'm always the calm, cool, and collect one, but I'm fucking fed. I'm fed up. And then it's like, okay, the time I get fed up, you got a other family member threatening to motherfucking lie on you, put you in jail. Okay, dog. I see how it is. We just gotta remove ourselves from the situation. That wasn't a Twitter situation, so had to be diffused. But man, I feel Daniel Cormier, and actually as a fan, it's now. Now that he's finally crossed that line, maybe he'll keep it there as far as calling John Jones a steroid cheat. He's never did that before. But if you want to be technical and want to be honest, we don't 100% know if Daniel Cormier has fought a clean John Jones. USADA came into place, I believe, in July of 2015, and their first fight was in January. And then their only fight after USADA, UFC 214, which is when John Jones knocked Daniel Cormier out. And everyone thought it was all good. And oh, John Jones did it. He's back. After that performance against OSP when he didn't look amazing, now he fights DC and looks amazing and then fails the damn drug test. And so it's like, yo, man, has DC ever fought a clean John Jones? Do we know that yet? And so now you brought it out of him. Even after that, Daniel Cormier never said shit. But it looks like he's fed up. So that's interesting because you have to imagine if DC can't get too distracted. He's got a fight with Stipe coming up, right, at UFC 226. You don't want to see somebody get distracted, take their mind off the prize, off the fight, because if you lose to Stipe, you're probably not fighting Brock Lesnar or John Jones again, which is what DC's talked about that he wants. But now, if DC beats Stipe, he could potentially be fighting John Jones again, man. And could you imagine? I would be into it because now, for one, like I already pointed out, we're not 100% sure if we've seen the clean fight. But at heavyweight, it would be at heavyweight, and if he was the champion, John Jones would kind of be coming back fighting for both belts. It'd probably take place at heavyweight, I would assume, if John Jones came back to fight DC and he won this fight. But that would just be crazy. So either way, man, DC has talked about his last 2 fights, as what he wants. If he's successful in the Stipe Miocic fight, he only, maybe squeeze 2 more fights in before he retires to, John Jones. And if he gets past John Jones, which is very reasonable, very possible. For one, if it happened to heavyweight, it's possible because DC's undefeated at heavyweight so far. Now, if he loses to Stipe, a lot of this is kind of out the window, but that's a very real possibility as well. Unless he fought John Jones at light heavyweight, but I'm not sure if people would want to see that even with the failed drug test. I mean, I would, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? You would have to have some super strict testing before the fight, because it's like, how did you, I don't think he popped until like his in competition, which is why he was stripped of the belt. But leading up to the fight, he never failed a drug test, right? Like the whole time, the months before, he never failed his USADA drug test. I'm sure he wasn't just tested one time, so he was passing some test. So that's why, you know, that's kind of what they were saying didn't really make sense. Like, he passed all of his tests before, and then he fails this one for DC. So was he finding a way to beat the system before? Like we've heard people talk about, it's still very possible. But either way, man, you know, if John Jones returned, he would, I'm sure, I would assume, have to go through a testing period. You know, like if Brock Lesnar returns, that's another hurdle he's got to jump through. He would have to go through, but I think it's because he actually like retired technically. So if he was coming back to the sport, he would have to go through a 4-month testing period as well. But John Jones isn't retired, so he might not have to go through that. But my thing is, if they fight again, you know, I would love to see it if we were sure John Jones was like being heavily tested, because I want to see what happens if he finishes the fight and then, you know, nothing happens afterward. Like last time I was like, oh, he did it. He's back. He's the GOAT. He cleaned John Jones. He literally just fucking did it. Holy shit, man. I'm fucking proud of this dude. I'm literally proud. Like, you know, round of applause for John Jones. He got his shit together and he did it, man. And then the fucking bombshell dropped. But hey, man, that's all the future. We still got to see what happens at UFC 226. Gonna be a great fight between Miocic and Cormier, and really a lot of this depends on what happens in that fight. But recently, speaking on Ariel Helwani's new MMA show, Rose Namajunas discussed Conor McGregor's apology for that bus incident, and she's still shaking up, man. You know what I'm saying? Thug Rose Namajunas, she's and as far as shaking up, that's a little overboard kind of, but she's not accepting the apology. She's not like still shaking up as far as like shaking like holy shit, you know, feeling like the aftershock of it. Like I don't think she's like, you know, got the PTSD, but she's still not accepting Conor McGregor's apology, and she feels like it's not a real apology for one, and also she wants it to be in person. And if you know Rose Namajunas, you know she's also got Pat Barry on her side. Probably got to apologize to Pat Barry for that shit too by now. You know what I'm saying? It ain't just a Rose thing here. You got to apologize to Rose and motherfucking Pat. You know, that's a 2-for-1 right there. So if you only sent Rose a DM talking about, hey, I'm sorry about, you know, cracking that window. Sorry, I was a little jacked up on Mount. You know, whatever you said in your apology, if there wasn't one in Pat Barry's DMs, then, you know, you got to send one to Pat Barry so we know it's real, because I think Pat Barry's going to need an apology too. And he chimed in toward the end of the interview as well. I'll read what they had to say. This is what Rose had to say about Conor's apology. I did get an Instagram message from him, but I don't really know if that was really him. To me, it doesn't seem like the type of, it just didn't seem like a sincere apology from an actual person to me. I didn't really, I guess, consider it a real apology. And you guys know, like some of these, especially bigger fighters, they have people that run their social media, you know, that are sending the tweets or posting the advert, whatever they're doing on social media. It's not always the actual fighter. So maybe this was just like, you know, someone on Conor McGregor's team, like, yeah, we need to apologize to all these people. And if Conor's not going to technically type the tweets, we'll send it in behalf of Conor. Because the way it was worded, it seems like Rose didn't really seem sincere. She said that it said, I'm sorry for what happened, and then it was like, and then he immediately went on to justifying what he did and stuff like that and the reasons why he did it. To me, that was like, it really doesn't matter. I don't care what the beef he's got with who. That's none of my business. I don't need to know that information. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't do anything for me. So there was an apology, and I'm a pretty cool person, and I always accept apologies. But to me, I'm like a personal person. I like face-to-face. That's how I like to handle things. I feel like anything can be worked out. You just got to talk through it as adults. So, you know, Conor McGregor seemed to be justifying his actions. He probably went into, like, I didn't mean to, you know, to harm you guys. I wasn't trying to disturb you guys. But these motherfuckers ganged up on Artem. Can you believe that these motherfucking Khabib and his crew? What would you guys do if Conor McGregor or if Khabib and his team tried to check one of your friends in the lobby? How would you guys react? Conor, I probably wouldn't throw a fucking dolly through a window, dog. No, but what if it was your best friend? Like, you know, no, like it seemed like she said that it seemed like Conor McGregor was justifying it a little bit. And now that is kind of in line of something you might think of Conor McGregor, right? You know who Conor McGregor apologizes to? The champ apologizes to absolutely nobody. And so the apology didn't seem sincere and weren't really into it. And then Pat Barry also chimed in and said that it didn't come from Conor. He said that apology didn't come from him. So, you know, like I said earlier, like maybe the wording might have seemed like just, you know, if Conor McGregor's doing this plea bargaining and stuff like that, I don't know if that has to do with, like, you got to apologize to all the fighters on the bus, but it's just a good look as far as, you know, PR is concerned. Like, it's a bad look out here, you know, having no remorse for your actions. You got 3 fights canceled, and all of this stuff is happening because you threw that dolly, and you ain't even apologize? Come on, dog. Are you even sorry for it? How can you come out in court and say you're sorry for it, and you haven't even apologized to these other fighters? And so, you know, maybe that was a thing that Conor had to do. He had to apologize. But do you think Conor McGregor took the time, sat behind his phone, kicked his feet up, and was like, all right, who's first? Rose Namajunas? All right. Hey, Rose, listen. And then, all right, who's next? Ray Borg? Hey, Ray, check this out. You think Conor actually did that, or do you think somebody from his team might have did that? You know, so they didn't really feel like it was from Conor, so they didn't really accept the apology. So, I mean, moving on with that, I mean, Conor McGregor still got to get that taken care of. That's something we actually are going to be talking about, I think, right here. And there's possibly going to be no more court for Conor McGregor. Possibly. This is coming from an insider. This was speaking with Buzz.ie. He hopes to be back here July 17th and do community service, talking about Conor McGregor. The thinking is as long as it satisfies the cops, then the matter may actually get settled outside of court, and he'll never even have to go back in there again. If the cops accept the deal, then McGregor won't see the inside of the courtroom on July 26th. So, you know, it looks like maybe they've worked something out with Conor already, you know, in terms of his plea deal. Come do the community service, and if you've already done it in time, then, hey, maybe you don't even have to see the courtroom again. So as far as that's concerned, what that means to me is Conor McGregor isn't going to have to face 2 serious sanctions as far as that can deter him from fighting this year, fighting in the U.S. possibly because of what he did. You know, that could have, you know, you have to think he is technically from overseas, so that could mess up your passport, stuff like that. So Conor McGregor doing that type of crime over in America, you know, he had to get that taken care of. So, but it seems like, I'm assuming he's going to have a fine as well. I mean, why wouldn't you fine Conor? Everybody gets fined. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially for something like, I'm sure he's got some fines coming as well, but also possibly some community service. You know how that goes. Money talks. You know what I'm saying? So, but as far as that's still good as far as MMA fans are concerned, if you're looking forward to a potential Conor McGregor versus Khabib fight, which, you know, is going to be crazy, and it kind of seems like that's where things are going anyway. So we'll see. Conor McGregor might not even have to go back to court, a little bit of community service. So we'll see what happens with that. But moving on, Mike Perry, you guys know, some I might have forgot. I mean, it's been a while, and you guys know people have fucking short attention spans these days. So, but recently, Mike Perry went to train with Mike Winklejohn, you know, in New Mexico, I believe that's where they're, Albuquerque, and with John Jones, Holly Holm, and all of them. And, you know, he was talking about, like, one of his first experiences with the team, and it ended up being doing, like, a bunch of shots with John Jones, and it's a funny situation. Or it's funny how he explained it, so I'll play a little bit of it, but, essentially, it was funny because he says he thinks John Jones was, like, throwing the shots over his shoulder at one point. Check this out. Hopefully this is timestamped the right place.
Ground. We had to throw a little Instagram on there.
Oh, IG Live.
All right,
He kept buying me drink. My last fight came.
Yeah, shout out to Gatorade for sending the
deodorant on, Misha.
Somebody's got body odor. What's going on?
You drink it.
Body armor.
Hey, you hang out with John Jones not too long ago when he first got here. How was that experience?
Man,
I want to hear some. I want to hear some stories.
Can you tell these stories?
Man,
give us the PG.
version.
Well,
we know.
Can we tell these stories? Give us the PG version. Could you imagine if Mike Perry, before they said that, just started running like, yo, you guys know what a sandblast is? Like, I didn't know this before. You know, like, what if he just started going crazy?
John.
We went to the bowling alley. We had some wings
There you
and
go.
some food. We had like 100 shots of tequila. Man, I got pretty drunk that first night with John.
Who drank who under the
He
table?
kept buying me drinks.
Yeah.
Man. He definitely I feel like he was like buying shots and would look at me and I'd take the shot and then he'd be like,
You think so?
I swear.
John Jones trying to get Mike Perry drunk. You see him throw it over his shoulder. Mike Perry's, he's doing. If John Jones is offering you shots though, and you're not sure, maybe you're already tipsy. What do? Like, you know, I know what I do. I know if you're like Joe Rogan or somebody with the will of steel, you're probably like, nah, I'm good, John. I'm good, John. Nah, I'm not drinking tonight. For me, I'm shot. John Jones just offered me another. Like, bro, I'm too drunk. Another shot? Like, I'm taking the shots all night from John Jones.
Swear, and one night, then we went out the second night. He took me out the second night too. And he was like, we ain't got to go as hard as we did last night. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And he bought a drink or he bought me a shot or something. I was like, oh, all right, I'll take this one, man. Don't buy me another one, man. And then he buying all these drinks for all these people. And he bought me one, but it was like a shot drink. It was like a big old shot. And I looked at him, and he's holding his drink, and he's going like this. He's like putting it up to his mouth. And he like took the cup a little bit. And I see him do that. I'm like, all right, he's taking it.
Yeah.
So I took it, and then he goes, oh, man, I'm not even gonna. And I was like, oh, dang, bro. You get me messed up out here. And you had to get an extra camera.
Yeah, we got the.
Yeah, that was a story. that was just hilarious storytelling from Mike Perry. He's got a fight coming up at UFC 226 this weekend with Yancy Medeiros, and that's going to be a banger. I'm telling you, holy smokes, that's just a card. Every time I think of any fight on that card, it makes me think of the other ones. It's like a chain reaction. I start thinking about, as soon as I think about Yancy Medeiros versus Mike Perry, start thinking about Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou, and then I'm like, oh yeah, we got Paulo Costa versus Uriah Hall, and then I'm like, oh yeah, but don't forget, we got like Curtis Melinder versus Gilbert Burns, and I'm like, oh yeah, but don't forget, we also got Max Holloway. You know, it's like a chain reaction every time I think about that card, and Mike Perry's on that card, and he's a part of that chain reaction. But yeah, man, seems like John Jones. Now, I want to tell y'all what I'm getting from this story. Did it sound like John Jones from Mike Perry's interpretation? Like he was trying to get Mike Perry drunk? Like, I don't know why, but it seems like John Jones was trying to get Mike Perry drunk, right? Like he was saying, like he said at first he thought he was throwing him over his shoulder, and then the second night he was like, all right, don't give me no more shots, and then they ended up getting one anyway, and so he was going to take it with John Jones, and then John was like, nah, I'm good. Like, John Jones was like, just, I don't know, like maybe having fun with them, like some, you know, gym initiation shit, like having some fun with them, but it seemed like he might have been getting Mike Perry a little tipsy as his initiation to Winkle John. So either way though, I'm interested to see how that camp does for Mike Perry. You know what I'm saying? He's with a legit camp now. He has some serious skills, serious knockout power. I've seen him training on social media. He's starting to mix kicks in, even trying to, you know, get a little takedown here and there. Now it's not going to come overnight. It's not going to come in 2 weeks. You know, 3 weeks. It's going to take some time, but I'm interested to see how Mike Perry continues to grow with this camp now that he's with Winkle John, one of the best camps with champions there, former champions that have fought there, you know, so he's definitely going to be able to become more well-rounded at this camp. But the thing is, he had one win over that Alex Reyes guy that was kind of short notice, but Mike Perry, you know, and he's a fan favorite, so I don't see him getting cut, you know, anytime like that. But at the same time, if he did end up going on a losing streak and, you know, sooner rather than later, we might not have had time to really see Mike Perry and how he turns out after going to Jackson, you know, Winkle John. So he's going to have to make sure he's able to string together a win or two in this next fight or the fight after that, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe he'll be Bellator bound. But either way, I'm rocking with Mike Perry. Excuse me, that's my nieces and nephews out there. 1 second. Alright, gotta take it right upstairs. Uh-oh. We got Luis, who just joined the full-time family. I see you, dog. I think it said Luis Garcia. Well, anyways, I appreciated Luis, man. Thanks for hitting the subscribe button. But, yeah, man. So, Mike Perry fighting in UFC 226 is going to be a great fight. Kind of rooting for him because he's one of my favorite. But at the same time, so is Yancy Medeiros. I can't really root against Yancy Medeiros to root for Mike Perry. So, I'm just hoping it's a good fight. You know what I'm saying? Maybe may the best man win, and maybe they get a $50,000 check for fight of the night. But it's going to be hard on that night. I'll tell you that much. But another thing, TJ Dillashaw, moving on, the next topic. TJ Dillashaw says that Mighty Mouse is for sure ducking him. You know, it was an interview with TMZ. They asked him the question, like, legit, like, so, do you believe that Demetrius Johnson is ducking you? And he said, yeah, I do believe so. He's comfortable fighting the guys he's fighting. And I think I bring a real threat to the table that he's not willing to accept. And, you know, this is interesting, man, because for me, and I'm going to have to figure this out soon, because I do believe he's kind of ducking TJ Dillashaw, because I don't believe Demetrius Johnson is confident at 135 pounds because he's so small. But at the same time, he's the champion, so is it kind of fair to say the smaller guy is ducking the bigger guy, right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I guess he's fought there in the past, but I don't know if that's, you know what I'm saying? I don't really feel comfortable saying Demetrius Johnson is ducking because he's the smaller guy. You know, it's kind of like, oh, you're scared to fight the bigger guy. You know, because you don't really see that a lot of the other times. Like who? You know, like Tyron Woodley he doesn't talk a lot about going up and fighting Robert Whittaker, but it's not like, oh, why you ducking Whittaker, bro? You know what I'm saying? Or like Robert Whittaker, you know, why you ducking Daniel Cormier, bro? You don't want to fight DC? Why ain't you caught out DC yet, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, and Demetrius Johnson never really went out there and called out TJ himself. Like, yo, like Amanda Nunes did with Cyborg, right? Amanda Nunes said, I want the Cyborg fight. I want to fight Cyborg. And now it's like, I don't know, man. We got Vieira. We got Home. We got this one, that one. We got Contender. You know what I'm saying now? But she called that out. To my knowledge, Demetrius Johnson never came out and said, yeah, man, I can't wait to go up and fight TJ. I want to go up. This is my time. I want to go up and capture that other belt, right? I mean, I haven't heard him say that, you know, like challenge TJ in that way. But I think it's maybe just his history with his losses to Dominic Cruz, you know, and fighting at 135. But I just look at DJ as like a smaller guy. Like, I think, and I don't even know if this exists, maybe in another organization like in Japan or something, but like a 115-pound men's division, I don't think that's ever going to exist. I'm not calling for it at all. It's going to be hard to fill that weight class, but I'm just saying, like, do you think Demetrius might be able to make that weight, you know, and be more comfortable even fighting there than 135? Because you know what I'm saying? He's a smaller dude. When he fought when he fought Dominic Cruz kind of looked like Shaq in there, you know, and it wasn't a good situation for DJ. So, it's hard for me to say, like, he's ducking somebody, especially with the skills he has, what he's doing to people like Henry Cejudo. Like, that's crazy. Henry Cejudo is an Olympian, and for Demetrius Johnson to, like, finish him inside the first round, that's kind of, like, spectacular. But the thing is, you know, the flyweights don't necessarily get that credit. But you know, it's not like Demetrius Johnson's finishing guys and stuff like that as well. So, I mean, he's kind of getting the rap for ducking, but I don't know if that's the case. But TJ Dillashaw believes it. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that he's ducking? Let me know in the comments. But we'll move on from that. They're both fighting on the same card though. UFC 227. You got TJ Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt fighting on the same card as Demetrius Johnson and Henry Cejudo in a rematch. And man, even though that's a fight that Demetrius Johnson won dominantly, that's why I was saying just saying it was so impressive. I can't count Henry Cejudo out, man. Henry Cejudo, he's a motherfucking beast. He's got that loss to Joseph Benavidez, but when I was watching that fight, I felt like Cejudo actually won. But, excuse me, it went in the hand of the judges, so, you know, you can't leave it in the hand of the judges. You know how that goes. Even if everyone feels like he won the fight and the judges didn't, you lost the fight. But if you go back and watch the fight, Henry Cejudo versus Joseph Benavidez, you'll probably lean toward Cejudo. So other than Demetrius Johnson, he's really beat everybody impressively. We just saw how Sergio Pettis looked against Joseph Benavidez. Now, just Benavidez has been out for a while, but Henry Cejudo was able to take down Sergio Pettis with ease with his wrestling skills that he possesses from the Olympics. So the fact that Demetrius Johnson's able to do what he did to Henry Cejudo, that is just beyond impressive. And I can't even expect it to happen in the rematch. Like, as good as we know Demetrius Johnson is, it's hard for me to fucking, just count Henry Cejudo out. You know what I'm saying? And I can't just pick, because his skills and his wrestling. But what Demetrius Johnson did is hard to deny, hard to ignore. So I'm still kind of looking forward to that rematch as much as it's not the fight that we probably wanted to see. As far as, of course, we'd rather see a super fight. I'm still looking forward to Henry Cejudo's second shot. Speaking of Henry Cejudo, good transition into this topic, full-time family. We got Henry Cejudo up in the trash talk to create a little bit of a storyline for the Demetrius Johnson rematch. Now, I actually heard Chael Sonnen sounding off on Henry Cejudo. That's why I love Chael Sonnen, man. He's like giving you like insider stuff, like, but in a different way. Like, he's a guy that's a promoter himself now. He's one of the highest selling draws in UFC history, before Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey came around and stuff like that. Chael Sonnen was the guy that was selling pay-per-views. So, with that, he was on the inside of a lot of the business stuff. And he was a guy that talked a lot of trash, and that's how he sold some of his fights. So he kind of knows what it takes to sell a fight. He also, if you listen to his podcast, kind of keeps up with like what's going on with the WWE as far as business wise. I think he's like a shareholder in the WWE or something like that. So he of course keeps up with it. So of course you could imagine he keeps up with the good storyline, keeping up with Chael Sonnen. So he tries to help out these other fighters and stuff that might be listening to his podcast, or that he just is a fan of himself, and he tries to help people realize, you can sell a fight. You know what I'm saying? So I heard him going off on Henry Cejudo at one point, and not going off like he recently did on Joe Rogan, and you know what I'm saying? But he was still like, he was pointing out, he was like, Henry Cejudo's not getting it. There's only room for one nice guy right now. Demetrius Johnson's got that locked up. We don't have a bad guy in the flyweight division. We need some. They're not selling like that. We need some storylines in this, in that division, dog. Somebody's gonna have to take it on, and you've got the opportunity. You fought for the title once. Why not be that guy? Make that name for yourself. Like, be the bad guy in the flyweight division. Like, and so Henry Cejudo's kind of talking about that a little bit, and he says, "I come from the sport of wrestling where there's nothing but respect on the mat. In MMA, it's a sport, but it's entertainment too. Look at Colby Covington. The guy can fight and the guy can talk. To a lot of people, he just grinds people out, and many people consider him boring. But because he opens his mouth, people want to watch him fight. A lot of people want to see him win. A lot of people want to see him lose. There's more eyes on him. I've learned that in MMA, it's the entertainment side. I'm grasping that from now on. If I have to pick on somebody to get the fight, then that's what I have to do, especially for the flyweight division." So now it might be kind of dawning on him, and so if Henry Cejudo starts coming out and talking that trash and being the bad guy, you know what I'm saying? He's taking that approach. You know what I'm saying? He's learning the business of the sport. And that's one of the things Chael Sonnen was going off on Joe Rogan for. And I kind of felt like I was learning from that, but at the same time, I feel like if I listened to it, it kind of, I don't know, it's weird. Because Chael Sonnen was like going off on Joe Rogan recently, and he was talking about how Joe Rogan, when he was kind of exposing Colby Covington, or in the broadcast, by saying he was talking trash to sell pay-per-views, and he's like, yeah, we get it, that, you might understand that, but the fans don't. So whenever you go out here and you talk about Colby Covington like he's just doing all of this fake stuff and it's some scripted bullshit or whatever, and Joe Rogan didn't say it was scripted, but that's what Tyron Woodley has said. But he was just saying, if you're a broadcaster or somebody on the inside and you're even saying that Colby Covington is just doing this as a gimmick, then that takes it away from the fans. If the fans think Colby Covington is just saying this to get them to pay for the pay-per-view, it's probably not going to sell because they get what he's doing. The fans have to believe it to buy it. And I was like, damn, I kind of took that as advice, like, oh shit. I wonder if, like, and Joe was talking about how it's bad for business. And I was like, well, that's kind of how I look at a lot of things. I look at it as a business, kind of. I still look at it as a fan too, but I went to school for business a little bit. I didn't finish, college dropout on my Kanye West shit. But I kind of look at this stuff like a business. But I was thinking, like, man, I wonder if that's bad for You know, if that takes away from it, you know what I'm saying? If I look at Colby Covington, like a lot of the stuff he's doing is just him trying to sell fights, and I speak that out, that takes away from it. You know, a lot of people probably don't want to hear that. They want you to be pissed off. You know, oh God, Colby, did you just say baby mamas? No, dude. Come on, bro. Did you just say filthy? Like, so, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's just a decision I've got to make. Like, I don't know. Like, you know, how should I put it out there? What do you guys think about Colby Covington? Do you guys think it's an act? Do you guys think he's really a piece of shit? And what do you think about, like, the business aspect of things? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Because, you know, I'm debating that. Because I admit, it kind of does take away from it. You know, if you look at it like a business, like it's a lot better when you're looking at it as a fan. Because now, right now, the shit going on with Tyron Woodley and Colby Covington, I'm looking at like a fan. Because, you know, Tyron Woodley, he's kind of been ignoring Colby Covington, not wanting to give him the opportunity. But not even just the all of that stuff. I'm looking at the fight like, yo, this fight's a lot closer than people think. You know, this is going to be a good fight. But on top of that, I'm kind of buying into this because they're former teammates and shit. You know, and they're kind of really talking some pretty heavy shit. But at the same time, you know, I don't know, man. Interesting. Let's see. Let's see what Full-Time Family has to say about this matter. I have to pull up this stream somewhere. I don't even have the chat over here except for on my... All right, here we go. But, yeah, I think he continued to say something else as well. He's talking about Demetrius Johnson right here. We'll read this. Just 1 second. Open link. Let me mute this. Just say something else. Alright, let's see what the Full-Time Family's talking about down here. Let's see. There's a live stream for the Contender Series, Full-Time MMA. I would assume so. Usually, man, whenever I can't afford it, which is always, I go to Reddit MMA streams. Just Google Reddit MMA streams, and I'll have like a bunch of different links. That's usually what I do when I can't afford it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Stamina MC said exactly that. 100% an act, but he's still a dick for it. I agree, brother. I agree. Like, I think a lot of it is an act, like a majority of it. But, yeah, a lot of it's still a dick move. But at the same time, do you guys think that's what people want to hear? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you guys are the Full-Time Family. Y'all are probably rocking with it. But, like, as far as, do you think that's bad for business, though, when the media talks about it like an act? Like, guys, like, don't get your panties in a bunch. Like, he's just trying to sell the fight. You know, because a lot of people, they're actually like, you know, they're not hardcore fans. That's what Chill was talking about. Like, we get it. We keep up with the sport every day. You know what I'm saying? We keep up with every different website. I do. You know what I'm saying? We're on the inside. We know what's going on. We know what's being said. We know about headlines. But the casual fan that's at work every day, like I would be if I fucking, like whenever I was going to work a lot more, when I had a lot more shifts, I wasn't able to go to every single different MMA website. I wasn't focusing on it full time. So I would just go to, you know, like one website or whatnot. But I was still listening to a lot of stuff, like podcasts and stuff like that. But there's some people who might just see the headlines, like the microwave. He don't know what Colby Covington is saying. It's kind of a farce. Whenever he sees a headline that says Colby Covington fucking called RDA a filthy animal, he's like, yo, who's this fucking jackass, right? Who's saying this? Who's saying these things? Or if you're a troll, you're like, yo. Or if you're a guy that believes it, you're like, who's this guy speaking the truth? Who's this guy spitting nothing but truth over here? This Colby Covington. You know what I'm saying? But then you go to like somewhere like Full-Time MMA or some other podcast, and it's like, yo guys, check this out. Yeah, I know he's saying bad things, but you know he's just trying to fucking sell the pay-per-view. So you know what I'm saying? Like whether you love him or you hate him, you want to watch him. You know that's not what the fuck people want to hear. So I'm just, you know, I might need to change the way I spit some shit out. You know what I'm saying? Just as far as the channel's concerned. Someone said they listened to, Given Surename said, I listened to his speech and it was absurd. Do you think so, man? I know a lot of people feel that way, and you're saying Chell is dumb as well. I know Chell does say some crazy shit, but as far as the business is concerned, I cannot lie. Chell knows what the fuck he's talking about. Now, he doesn't reveal everything. That's why a lot of the shit he says is bullshit, in my opinion, because he can't just give you all the fucking details, spill the beans all the way. But he tries to drop little knowledge bombs on you here and there with the business and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you listen to his podcast, he says a lot of that stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? And when he's giving advice to other fighters, when I listen, I get a lot of insider shit from Chael Sonnen's podcast. You know, you got to know how to sort through sort through it and whatnot, but he dropped some knowledge bombs, like as far as selling fights and, you know, the idea of, literally, that's Chael Sonnen 101. He fucking, the idea of selling fights with your mouth, that comes from fucking Chael. So he knows what he's talking about a little bit there. He's got the pay-per-view numbers to prove it, you know what I'm saying? But people didn't necessarily look at Chael Sonnen completely as an act back then. But if you got people just, you know, giving Colby Covington the skeptical hippo eyes from the beginning, it doesn't necessarily work as well, it seems like, because he didn't sell great at UFC 225. You know what I'm saying? So maybe it's not working as well for him. Stamina MC said Chael drops gyms now and again, but he jumped out the window on that Coco Rogan stuff completely ass backwards. Peace Full-Time Fam said forward thinking the fights are not on, I don't believe, for another hour, I don't think. But yeah, peace, brother. I'm definitely got to make sure we watch that Antonia Shevchenko fight. That's going to be crazy. Leon W said, I'm cool, just a bit tired. Going to roll one, enjoy some good quality MMA talk with you guys in full time. That's good, man. Smoke one for me. Hashtag sober 2018. Man, fuck today. That made me think about today. Woo. But either way, Bob Cratcher said Chael's not a straight-up company man, such as let's all make money together as a brand kind of guy. Yeah, Chael Sonnen, he's not, you know what, he's doing his own thing with the submission grappling and becoming a promoter. Man, say what you want about Chael and some of the stuff he says. That man is, as far as business is concerned, he knows some shit. Like, he's got some gems, but he's not just going to drop the whole fucking gym vault on the public. I mean, because that's kind of why he was so mad at Joe Rogan. Like, yo, but I kind of felt like he had it personal, to be fair. I felt like it was kind of personal because Chael Sonnen's known Colby Covington since he was like 10 or 11 years old. I would imagine that, you know, they've got a relationship, you know, as far as that's concerned. Maybe Colby Covington looked up to Chael Sonnen, I would imagine, as far as, you know, when he was younger in the game. But, so it seemed a little personal. Maybe Chael Sonnen was like, yo, don't fucking expose my boy. Fuck that. You're ruining business here. I fuck with Colby. I'm trying to help Colby. Who knows? Maybe Chael Sonnen's tossed Colby a line here or there. And you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. Chael wants to see Colby Covington succeed, I would imagine. It just felt a little personal there. Given Surname said Chael is wrong because Colby is not Chael and it's not 2011 anymore. Yeah, people are just a lot more skeptical these days. But my question is, do you think that's just the hardcore fans? Back in the day when Chael was doing his thing, I was a casual fan. All I saw was, like, before the fight, the hype to him talking trash, like, you know, like about whether it was Wanderlei Silva, whoever it was. As a casual fan back in the day, I didn't know. I was like, is this guy serious? You know what I'm saying? A lot of the time. But at the same time, whenever he said shit like he was trying to feed a carrot to a bus, I was like, okay, I know that he doesn't mean he was literally trying to feed a carrot to a bus. But the way he was delivering it, I was like, was he? And even if he wasn't, you're going to piss him. You know, it was still the type of trash talk to piss your opponent off. You know, he said it like he meant it. And so, but I was more of a casual fan back then. I don't know if the hardcore fans were like, nah, he's just saying that shit to sell tickets. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if people were like even thinking about it as much of a business back then. Maybe the fact now that the UFC sold for $4 billion and everybody's looking at money and Conor McGregor's money and shit like that, everyone's starting to look at it like a business now that it sold for so much, right? Now that the UFC just sold for $4 billion, clearly there's some business going on, you know what I'm saying? So now maybe that's why people are more aware, like, okay, well, you know, what's selling? Where are we? What's going on with the money? You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's got a lot to do with it, you know, as far as it not being 2011 anymore. You know, people are just looking at this thing more like a business now in 2018. But yeah, man, Israel A said, Chael is the GOAT, motherfuckers. I hear what you're saying, man. Hashtag bring Joel back, man. You know what I'm saying? Ever since I've been doing the channel, that's the thing I actually like about going to work. I get to listen to the other MMA podcasts and the other MMA shows and stuff like that. Whenever I'm at home and I'm not actually like at work like that, usually I'm not listening to that stuff as much because I'm always doing something. And so, but you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty far behind on like the Chael Sonnen podcast and stuff like that. But yeah, man, hashtag bring Joe back. With that being said, let's move to the next topic of the day. Man, I'm gonna try and speed through these because we only got about 40 minutes until Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series comes on, and I got to make sure I catch that. So, not a lot of news here as far as Nick Diaz, but his case is proceeding in Las Vegas. The district attorney's bail request was denied. It seemed like they tried to get his bail raised because he's a star or whatever. They tried to get his bail raised from like $18,000 to $100,000 or something, but that was, it says right here, the prosecutor argued the severe nature of the alleged crime warranted bail increase to $100,000, prompting Diaz attorney Ross Goodman to counter that the alleged victim's story wasn't consistent with her injuries. So they tried to get it raised because the severe nature of the crime, allegedly. But they're like, there's things not sticking with the victim's story, and one of Nick Diaz's friends from the very beginning has came out and kind of revealed the character of the accuser as far as from their side of it, and she seems to be pretty crazy from what we've saw. There's videos, there's testimony from numerous people, her friends, their friends, neutral friends. Like, yo, man, she's got to stop this shit. This is crazy. She's been doing this for years. What's going on? There's a lot of people sticking up for Nick Diaz here, and they don't just seem to be like Nick Diaz fans. It seems to be people that know the situation. The judge, though, she said that she can't fathom a reason to increase the bail above the standards set by the court. She appeared to agree there were inconsistencies with the alleged victim's story that would need to be proven at trial. She added Diaz shouldn't be punished based on his occupation, so the fact that Nick Diaz is an MMA fighter or a professional fighter wasn't factored in here. They didn't raise the bail because of that. She said, I don't care. He's going to be treated the same way everybody else is. So that's good news for Nick Diaz. He's not getting treated like a high-profile, person, like raise his bail to $100,000. He's a professional fighter. He's not getting looked at as a worse person because he's a professional fighter here, because it seems like there might be a little bit of inconsistencies with the victim's story. So I'll keep you guys updated with that, but that's the update so far. This was another story on that, but this was just that video, and just for the people that haven't saw, I didn't put it on the original video back when the case was coming out because, it was still, the cases weren't, the details weren't very clear and stuff like that. We didn't have all the details in the beginning. They didn't even know if it was the right Nicholas Diaz that was arrested. There was inconsistencies with the arrest report, right? So in the beginning, we didn't have all of that. So when these videos started to come out of this chick, I didn't repost them because, what if Nick Diaz is accused and all of that stuff? What if, it comes out she actually was a victim here? We're all posting videos of her looking crazy, and what if she actually was a victim at the time? So I didn't want to post it at the time, but this is just what Nick Diaz is dealing with here. You know what I'm saying? I'll just hit play and let you hear a little bit. This is just a sample. There's a lot more stuff.
Next day, and you delete random snaps of girls so your other side hoes don't get mad. And the only reason you don't invite me to the club is because I affect you and your friends' chances of getting pussy in your eyes because you used to do it. And the only reason you don't text me and don't call me is because you're too busy fucking around with them because you used to do it. I'm done with you. I fucking hate you. After you not being there for me through the whole fucking sick thing, and after you just telling me you're always too busy for me, and then you wake up the next day and you delete random snaps of girls so your other side hoes don't get mad. And the only reason you don't invite me to the club is because I affect you and your friends' chances of getting pussy.
Oh, did it already start rewinding? I'm not sure. I just looked at the chat. I see my boy, that weird guy, said chill, probably ghostwrites for Kobe. Yo, that's what I'm saying. He took it a little personal, right? Yeah, so let's move to the next topic. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? She's stalkerish, maybe just a little bit of the signs of stalkerish, you know what I'm saying? Maybe a little but the thing, you know what I'm saying? If you keep dealing with somebody like that, you know what comes with it a lot of the times. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, man. Well, I'll keep you guys updated on the situation. There's the chick, but she does seem to be a little bit crazy. But like I've said in the past, there's no law that says it's okay to hit crazy bitches. So with that being said, moving on, about to cover a little bit of Bellator, but before we do that, Junior Dos Santos is talking about the USADA situation, and I feel for Junior Dos Santos here specifically. He says, we're getting punished before we're even judged. Junior Dos Santos is a guy that had a fight coming up with Francis Ngannou back when Francis Ngannou was all the hype. People were picking Francis Ngannou to win that fight, yeah, but it is what it is. Junior Dos Santos is not a guy you can count out. He's probably got better boxing, you might imagine. Maybe better, well, yeah, for sure, better cardio. And he's a former champion, so he's not a guy you could just count out. But leading up to their fight, before the fight, Junior Dos Santos got flagged with USADA, and he was pulled from his fight. And his reputation was kind of tarnished because it was like, hey, you just got pulled from your fight with Francis Ngannou because you failed a drug test, bud. So everyone was like, oh, shit, Junior Dos Santos failed a drug test, boom. Well, to come to find out, USADA actually busted the Brazilian lab with tainted supplements, and so a lot of fighters, 3 to 4 fighters, had their names cleared. Junior Dos Santos was one of those fighters, but the damage is already done. He already lost his fight with Francis Ngannou. If he would have beat Francis Ngannou, he could have likely been fighting for a title next. But he already lost his opportunity to fight Francis Ngannou, and his reputation was kind of already tarnished by everybody that saw the report, the headline, Junior Dos Santos pulled from Francis Ngannou fight, USADA violation. All of those people ain't going to see this headline that says Junior Dos Santos was cleared. Brazilian, tainted supplement. So there's a lot of people that just remember Junior Dos Santos was getting flagged by USADA, and then on top of the fact he lost the paycheck for Francis Ngannou, he wasn't able to work for the whole time. He had a fight scheduled up, so that was work he had scheduled. That got taken away from him, that work, and then while they figured out their situation with this Brazilian lab, he couldn't work the whole time. That's what they call lost wages. You know what I'm saying? That shit is something you can sue for. And I'm not trying to say Junior Dos Santos should go into some crazy lawsuit against USADA, but I'm just saying, homie was innocent in this situation, and he got pulled from a huge fight. He's not the first fighter to be cleared, by the way, either. Have his name thrown into the USADA mud, and then come to find out he was innocent. He got pulled from a fight, lost that opportunity, and he's innocent. So Junior Dos Santos was talking about that. We're getting punished before we're even judged. Because when the judgment came, homie was innocent. But he had already been punished. He said, a friend of ours mentioned that it was a tainted supplement. And I remember I made a comment like, was it really? Because if he hadn't taken anything, he wouldn't have been caught. And he's talking about a previous situation there. That's what a lot of people think. You know what I'm saying? Whenever you hear, and he's talking about what he's thought in the past. Whenever you hear somebody is on a tainted supplement, or they give you that excuse, like, bro, I don't know how I popped. It was a tainted supplement. You're like, yeah. The little elbow nudge, tainted supplement. You hear him? He's on a tainted supplement. And then come to find out, if you actually had a tainted supplement, people don't believe it. People don't believe it. There's probably still people that don't believe it was a tainted supplement even after USADA came out and cleared his name. That's what happens when you say somebody got flagged with a violation. And then, that's just a side thought to the fact, of course, he lost that Francis Ngannou fight. But he did say, I thought with USADA's experience and their understanding that they would be able to say what was a contamination and what wasn't. Not just because of a substance, but because of the amount as well. But that's not how it happened. So he said, I'm not overlooking Blagoy. He's talking about his upcoming match, the headliner of UFC Boise. He's taking on Blagoy Ivanov. He said, I'm not overlooking Blagoy. He was a champion in another organization, but honestly, I didn't even take anything about him into consideration. The only things I took into consideration were the ones about myself. The most important thing is getting the car moving, making things happen for me again, and leave all this negative stuff in the past. We need to discuss this more. We need to bring this subject to light so it doesn't happen anymore, because fighting is our life. It's all we do. Imagine, for instance, a case in which the person can't defend themselves and get a longer suspension. He's a former champion that might have a little more money than some of these other fighters. And the other fighters specifically, he wasn't the only fighter that was cleared that day. There was like 2 or 3 other people alongside Junior Dos Santos that got their names cleared. But if Junior Dos Santos didn't fight those fighters, they're probably all Fucksville, because you don't know their names. They probably couldn't have fought it. Luckily, someone from that fucking same company was fighting the case and shined the light on all of them. But there's a lot of fighters who can't afford to fight it because they haven't became champions yet. They haven't fought Conor McGregor yet. They haven't got pay-per-view points yet. You know what I'm saying? So they can't afford to fight when USADA comes down their door, even if it's a legitimate tainted supplement. So that's why I bring up the point, what the fuck is USADA there for? The looks? I know they do a good job and they bust a lot of people. I mean, you know, Brock Lesnar, but people kind of, you know what I'm saying, assumed that already. But John Jones, they do bust a lot of people. But there's people that believe that it's still easy to beat USADA. They're messing up some people's reputations when they're innocent. Junior Dos Santos lost an opportunity versus Francis Ngannou. I'm just saying, USADA comes with good and they come with some bad. But like, my question is, does the good outweigh the bad? If there's still some people getting by the system, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I mean, I don't want to advocate for anyone at USADA to lose their jobs with the UFC. So I'm not saying, like, when I say USADA's got to go, I'm not saying I hope for those people to lose their jobs. I'm just saying, as far as the sport of UFC is concerned, USADA, you know, it's kind of fucking up some stuff, you know? And on top of that, it's kind of taking away some of the biggest stars, right? I mean, for one, we did lose Junior Dos Santos versus Francis Ngannou, and that's a legitimate fight. That's a fight that should have happened. Now, we also lost John Jones versus DC, as well, at least the result. We got to see the fight, but, you know, the result was overturned. We lost Brock Lesnar versus John Jones. And when the thing about Francis Ngannou versus Junior Dos Santos is that was a legitimate fucking fight. Now that fight was taken away from us for absolutely nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's just gone. You saw have made a mistake. But at the same time, does the good outweigh the bad? You know, the fact that they're testing so stringent, there's probably a lot of fighters that they don't know how to beat USADA, and so because you do see fighters changing, you do see people's bodies have changed since USADA came in, right? There were fighters post-USADA, there were fighters pre-USADA, and you saw the difference in their bodies. So clearly USADA's doing something to some of these guys. They're doing some shit. They're definitely doing some work in the sport. But, you know what I'm saying, are these instances worth it? Maybe it is, you know. They're still cleaning up the sport, but will it ever be clean? That's a question we don't know. But in the meantime, if situations like this continue to happen and fighters get judged before, what did he say? They're getting punished before they're judged. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if a fighter, like a former champion, like if we see some type of lawsuit like that in the future. Because just me sitting back at it looking at this situation here, I see lost wages. I don't know what else. I don't see any, there's not no damages caused, you know what I'm saying? I don't see any emotional distress, you know, looking at it like a lawsuit type deal. But, and maybe he can only sue the supplement company. Somebody, though, Junior Dos Santos lost an opportunity here. Maybe you say it's his fault, though, for putting it in his body, you know, not testing the supplement. But if the ingredient's not listed, how do you know better? Maybe you just got to be super careful. And, you know, whenever we talk about this before, I bring up the fact that Demetrius Johnson talks about, like, yo, I don't even take aspirin. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how worried I am about USADA. I just don't take anything. I'm good. But I heard someone make this argument recently, and I was like, yo, that's a good point. They're like, yeah, Demetrius doesn't need to take anything besides fucking aspirin because he's 125 pounds. Us bigger fighters, we're going to need some supplements or protein, some type of shit like that, or we're going to be eating like 15 steaks a day. We have to take some sort of supplements. So we've got to be able to depend on supplements and trust some of these supplements. So if the ingredient's not listed, then our career is postponed. I lost a big opportunity and all of this. So Junior Dos Santos did kind of get faulted here. He did kind of get punished for something that he wasn't at fault for. So who pays for that? I don't know. Maybe nobody. Does Junior Dos Santos just have to take that loss? That's a possibility. But maybe he could be looking at some sort of lawsuit. Who knows? That does seem like lost wages. But who do you sue? Would it be a USADA deal or the company that didn't list the damn ingredient? That might be who your problem is with. But either way, let's see. Steroids can't improve precision punching, said Yoza L. I don't know, man. If you listen to, who was it? GSP on the Joe Rogan Experience, he said the steroids in 2018 are making you more precise, more confident, reaction timing, all type of stuff, man. But I don't know. But either way, we got to continue on. I think we got one more topic to touch. Speaking of PEDs, before we watch this Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, Gegard Mousasi is welcoming the rematch with Lyoto Machida at Bellator. He says Lyoto Machida was 100% on PEDs. Holy smokes, Gegard! Holy smokes, Gegard! I did not expect this, my motherfucking dog. Y'all know I fuck with Gegard Mousasi the long way. I'm trying to tell you, one of my favorite fighters. He's like up there, 1A, 1B, 1C. He might be 1A, but, you know, it's not the most popular opinion, but I don't care. I fuck with Gegard. And he's really been opening his mouth lately. And I'm not going to, like I said, I might change a little bit in that sense. I'm not going to say whenever I think someone's just doing it to sell a fight. But I'll just say Gegard Mousasi's been coming out here and talking some shit as of late. Or I'll just say speaking his mind. Like in an interview when he first signed with Bellator, I heard him say some shit like he doesn't think women should be fighting MMA. I was like, Bert, Shaggy? Like, this nigga, that stood out. Like, I haven't heard this opinion from Gegard before. Like, but that's going to piss some people off in my mind. Like, what? Because I think someone pointed out, like, his girlfriend might be, like, a WMMA fighter. So I was like, what are you saying, dog? But either way, it was crazy. Now he's coming out. He's speaking his mind. He fought Lyoto Machida in the past, and he's saying, yo, motherfucking 100% PEDs. What the fuck you talking about? Because Lyoto Machida won the first fight. And I believe on the judge's scorecard, it was like 50-45, 50-45, 50-46 type shit. Unanimous decision. But Gegard's looking forward to the rematch now that he's the Bellator champion. Now, of course, it would be a future thing. He would have to be able to keep the belt from Rory McDonald. But even if he lost the belt, you know, they could fight not for the belt. But at the same time, if the rematch were to come, I wasn't even thinking about Lyoto Machida and fucking steroids in their first fight. I didn't watch their first fight. I don't know when it happened, but it was before I was a hardcore fan. And really, only the hardcore fans are really in tune with Gegard Mousasi. There's a lot of fans that probably know who he is, but the casuals, maybe not so much. So with that being said, back in the day when I was a casual, I definitely didn't know that much about Gegard. So when he fought Lyoto Machida, you know, I might have known who Lyoto Machida was, but I don't recall watching their first fight live. I don't recall that. But if this fight got booked, I would definitely, it's a fight I will be going back and watching, I'll tell you that much. If this was going to be a rematch, I got to see the first fight. I got to see how Lyoto won, what did he look like, because Gegard's one of my favorite fighters. So going into the rematch, though, Gegard's in his stride right now. I mean, he came to Bellator on a 5-fight winning streak, wins over Weidman and other top middleweights in the division, signed to Bellator, 2-fight winning streak over Alexander Shlemenko and the champion Rafael Carvalho. Now, super fight with Rory McDonald. If he wins that, rematch with motherfucking Lyoto, all on like an 8-fight winning streak, and you're telling me he's accusing Lyoto of being on PEDs in the past, ages a little more on Gegard's side in this fight. Yo, I am so fucking in to just Gegard Mousasi's title run in Bellator. You know what I'm saying? I'm all the way in. But yeah, let's see what's going on. Yo, before we get out of here, let's check out the chat. Yoza L said 100 good slow punches outdoes 1,000 roided up sloppy ones. Bob Cratchit said Gegard's been sitting back just watching all these years. He knows some shit. Bob Cratchit is fucking hilarious. He said Gegard's just been sitting back chilling, huh, on the sidelines, just not even speaking. Stitches get stitches, huh? No, that's funny. Yoza L said, I spar, weight room, juice dudes. These suckers can go all day, but let me connect their temple and chin. Shuts down juice. I hear what you're saying. You gotta find the button, but yeah, man, that when you start getting tired, if you ain't found that button in the 3rd round, and these motherfuckers are coming at you like a racehorse in the 4th and the 5th, you're probably like, fuck. It's probably how Robert Whittaker was feeling in the rematch. Like, what the fuck? He's still here? What the fuck is going on here? Batman? Stamina MC said he's saying that the longer you can stay in the game while training, the more chances there is to develop and improve. If your body doesn't fail as soon as it would otherwise, that's an advantage. Hell yeah. Alright, well, I appreciate y'all for coming through the Full-Time MMA in the evening today. Actually went longer than I expected, you know what I'm saying? I actually expected more distractions from the outside today. Somebody, yo, I got into it today with like some family, and they were like, I can't wait till the next time you're fucking live. I'm like, oh shit. I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. But we made it. We fucking made it through the show, Full-Time Family. So get ready for Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. It comes on in about 30 minutes from now. Thank y'all for coming through and checking this out. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, let the Full-Time Family know what you think in the comments. We out.